name's Tobin. I'm the product director here at Keyless, and we're the leader in privacy-preserving facial biometrics. Clayton, I thought that was awesome. It's great to see a company that takes privacy as seriously as we do, because we think it is the #1 consideration when you're assessing facial biometric vendors. So nice job, and that was a really cool demo. The thing I'm going to kind of focus on today is how Keyless have approached this problem to not only be 100% privacy preserving, but also multi-factor by design. And hopefully that, what I mean by that phrase will come kind of very clear as I go through everything. I was right in my flow saying Keyless is multi-factor by design. What I want to show is how we do this in a way that is more secure than anyone else. So genuine identity assurance that you're dealing with the same person who you onboarded. Super convenient, and this is the multi-factor by design. So a single glance for two-factor authentication, and it's 100% privacy preserving. So no biometric data is ever accessed or stored by Keyless. And in the demo, I'm going to show you the biometric data never leaves the device. So you've got to imagine right now that this is a banking app. So we've got a Android device, Google Pixel on the left here. Here it is, just to show it's not pre-canned, and an iPhone on the left. And I'm going to show you how seamless it is to kind of be recognized between those two devices. We're all familiar with that doom when you kind of open up and purchase a new device and you've got to re-authenticate on all your different apps, and how challenging that can be. And I want to show how easy that is with Keyless. But first, we're going to imagine that I've just signed up to Keyless Bank, which we're claiming is the best banking app in the world. That app doesn't actually exist, or beyond the sales demo app. So don't get me wrong. But I want to show what the kind of account creation looks like, which is very straightforward. So we'll call this account, this user, Liminal Demo D. And we're going to enroll. So you can see there's some live feedback there to get that all set up. And what's happening, as I said, is no biometric data is leaving the device, and we're cryptographically transforming my biometric data on here. But also in doing so, and this is the crucial thing I want you to take away, we have bound my biometrics to the device itself, and that's going to be really important later on. We use this for just to show how it can be used in the recovery scenario. So as in when you move to another device. So we pair with lots of different authentication factors. We support passwords and PINs. We love NFC here at Keyless because that's a really secure way of showing your face and matching to Keyless. But just for the ease of the demo today, I'm just showing that as a PIN. So I've now created my account. Somehow I've got a transaction history. Don't worry about that. But what I want to show you is then how easy it is to achieve two-factor authentication in a single movement. So I've transferred $20 to Bob there. That was a low-risk transaction, and these are all sort of imaginary barriers we're putting in here. But just to show you the kind of difference of if there were to be a more high-risk moment for the bank, and I was to try and transfer $500 to Charlie, lucky Charlie, and I confirm that, it's going to step up to an authentication. And hopefully you saw that, how quick that was. Generally, we see authentication times in under 300 milliseconds, which is fantastic for the user, but it's almost too fast for me to explain in a demo because I can't explain that while I'm looking at the screen. What's actually happened there is because our cryptographic transformation happens on the device and happens uniquely per authentication and per device, we actually have proof of two factors in that single glance. So you have a possession factor in that base could only have come from the device that I've just transferred the cash on, but also that it proved my biometric was there. We have become the first product in the world to have anti-injection CEN TS 18099. Sorry for the certification geeks out there, but we're the first to prove that we are rated at a high level on that to prevent deepfakes from being injected, prevent genuine videos to be injected there, so that we have total proof that that is the person who's just made that transfer. With it being two-factor authentication as well, that's crucial for things like PSD2 in Europe, or PSD3 coming up as well. Now, I've just switched off that device for one very good reason. I want to show now, and so, like I say, that device is gone. I've lost my device. Let's see how quickly I can then transfer over to a new device. And this is where I say to you, Did I go 111 or 000? Yeah, 000, I think. This is where I can show to you how quick activation on a new device can be, because that's the biggest problem. And when I've worked on the kind of quote unquote customer side on this, so my time as a product manager for a investment app, B2C, the big problem was when people change device. That's your like attack vector. That's where all the account takeover happens. And you either have to put lots of friction and lots of cost for you as a business, or you have to open the floodgates on ATO. Our position is, by using keyless, you don't have to make that compromise. You can have convenience for the customer as well as security for you. So I've entered my username, all set, ready. Again, live feedback on that. And it's as simple as that. I'm into my account again, and just to show you it's still all there and happening, rather than doing a transfer this time, I'll just change my address. Whatever those high risk moments are for you, just move down the street to 333. Update my address, and again, less than a second, we're back to double factor. So during that account recovery flow, that again, almost too quick for the demo to really see what's going on, I've now bound this new device, very easy for the customers to set that up, so that again, we're back to having two-factor authentication on a new device, but in a way that's fully secure. Okay, I told you the demo is a bit too quick sometimes. I've got a couple of slides just to like, fully kind of map out exactly what we do as a solution, but start bringing in your questions now. When I had to restart the browser there, I lost my timer as well, so I'm a bit blind to how much time I've got, but I think I'm good. Just to kind of spell out the way that this works. So you saw on how I enrolled into the keyless product, I used an in-app selfie. So that's where the user's fully in control of enrolling their selfie. Like I say, we then transform that on the device, and that's how you register with keyless in a 100% privacy preserving manner. We can also support document scanning. Like I said before, particularly we're big fans of NFC here, where we've built our own integration into that technology. So you just tap on the document, passport, lots of different driver's license across the world as well. That then extracts the face, and then we can match instantly against that face. So that's a really secure way of either enrolling or recovering an account on a new device. Or one of the really cool things we have is that you can use existing images. So we pair really nicely, and we partner with the likes of Experian and ID Now, where lots of our customers have already collected these selfies during a KYC process, and then we're able to register them in a privacy preserving manner, but still authenticate you. So there's no need for even a live enrollment step. You can already use this. And this is how the likes of N26 are already using keyless today. They have the selfie from the KYC process, it's being registered, and then we authenticate against that to prove that that's the same person when they're accessing a new device. And that solved a big problem for them in terms of the cost of running account recovery flows, but also the level of friction that they were having to put in front of customers. You saw this a couple of times, so I'm not going to go over this in too much detail, but from an authentication point of view, it was then you saw a quick glance. As you see, we've got deepfake detection, passive liveness, but also crucially the protection around the anti-injection attacks to make sure that we are secure in knowing that this is definitely the same person. And what does it all mean? And this is like where you really want everyone to zero in on, is that we're always going back to that same person. So I often get the question, how are you different from Face ID? This is the crucial moment. With Face ID, what you're effectively proving is that the person has a biometric which can unlock that device. If they move to a new device, Face ID then, and often passkeys are kind of limited at that point, and it becomes a new registration at that stage. What keyless is allowing our customers to do is always link back to the same person. Final point I'll make with slides, and then I'm pretty much done, and I hope that I made this point clear enough, is that it's then multi-factored by design. Okay, so in that single glance, we have an inherence factor because it saw my face and processed my biometric, but we also have that possession factor. So once you are bound to a device, either through the enrollment process or through the recovery process that I showed, that becomes two-factor every single time. We know that authentication and that facial biometric capture, even though we can't see the biometric data itself, we know that must have come from that device because of the way we we built our solution. So that's why we call it multi-factor by design. There's also a beautiful thing that comes out of this this design as well that we call anti-scaling by design when it comes to deep fakes and fraud. So while we have all the protections that I mentioned, and the passive liveness certification and the anti-injection certification, by very nature, because we have to have the possession and the biometric at the same time, there's actually an inherent way that we stop that from scaling for fraudsters, because they have to steal all of your customers' devices. So while it's still really important that we have all those elements, it becomes very hard for a fraudster to not only bypass all of those security measures and certifications that we have to prove them, they've also got to go around stealing all of your customers' devices as well. And that at that point, that's why we kind of frame that as anti-scaling, because that becomes a real challenge. I don't know whether I'm still ahead of time, but I'm just going to make some final points. There's some final sort of insight on us as a business there. But I hope what I've shown you today is that we are secure, convenient, and 100% privacy preserving.
Tobin, that was excellent. Even with the quick glitch, you're a pro at this, we could tell. And we have some great questions for you as well. Okay. First question from the chat is, how is this different from Apple Face ID?
Okay, so I mentioned this during the presentation, but apologies if I didn't make that clear enough. The big difference is, and this is why in the demo I show it from an Android device going to an iOS device, just to make it super clear, is that if you are on just Face ID, that is just essentially tied to the device. And I don't kind of mean to kind of come on here and kind of hate on Face ID. It's a great step forward. It means I don't have to tap in a passcode every time. But fundamentally, what we're doing is we're allowing our customers to authenticate that it's truly the same person as they move from different devices. The other point I want to make on Face ID is, I think, you know, we're all kind of tech people, and lots of us are on iOS, and lots of us think about Face ID. When you're talking about the local biometric, you're not just talking about Face ID. You're then talking about all the different Android devices who, guess what? They don't actually share any of their presentation attack defense data. So you've got no idea how effective some of these local biometrics are across the different devices. I can also set up multiple people on my one device, right? So you can have, for example, I've got Google Pixel here. You can have multiple people set up with Touch ID on the same device. So there's no real assurance that you're actually dealing with the individual that you should be dealing with. But it's a great question, because it's the nuance that I hope really explains what we bring to the table.
Sure. Thank you for that. Just one more question, and then we'll keep to the schedule for somewhat. But I want to know, when someone else asked this so good, how does this work in a browser, or is it just for applications?
Yeah, great question. I focused purely on the so we have a mobile SDK and we have a web SDK. I focused on where customers take our mobile SDK and integrate that into their application. In our case, this was the Keyless Bank app. But yeah, we not only support web SDK, but we also support customers who want their users to move in between both. So you can see the N26 logo there, and they're a great example of this, where they're able to authenticate their customers, whether they access via a browser or via the app. And the crucial part to that is it remains privacy preserving throughout. So Keyless still cannot access that biometric data at any stage in the process.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tobin. Again, great job.